Good afternoon. Welcome back from the desert that is the college football bye week. I am Gabe DeArmond. You are on PowerMizzou.com's YouTube channel, which I'm going to guess you probably know and don't need me to tell you. If you have just managed to stumble upon this, we greatly appreciate it, and thanks for joining us. This is Tiger Recruiting Tuesday. We'll bring Sean Williams into the fold momentarily. Always on this show, we bring into the fold right off the top, former Mizzou football player Brandon Barnes, who is now your go-to guy in the mortgage game. He is over at USA Mortgage here in Columbia, but he can do anything you need anywhere in the state of Missouri, up in Oregon, Missouri, maybe if you're looking for a place. I don't know what there is to do in Oregon, so I don't have a great tie-in here. I've just driven through it, and I know it's a town. So if you want to move to Oregon, Missouri, and you need a mortgage, then Brandon Barnes is your guy. bbarnes at usa-mortgage.com. Get a quote at showmemortgage.com. Get in touch with Brandon at the phone numbers there, 818-2772 or 590-0001. Those are 573 area codes. Brandon's got great customer service. He's got the best rates you're going to find, and he will find something that works for you if you get in touch with him. So we encourage you to do that, and we encourage you to listen to all the wisdom of Sean Williams for the next 20 or 30 minutes. That's what we're going to do here on the recruiting show. Sean, I fully expect this to be our most popular show ever because this is the first show we've done since Luther Burden was a Missouri commit. So, I mean, automatically, we don't even have to say anything. Just everybody loves it.
Well, it's either that or it could be a huge letdown just because the anticipation and the rumors were flying before this commitment. And now that it's actually happened, I mean, nobody really cares about our show anymore. So,
right, that's fair. The recruiting class is done. He's number 15. The class is 15th. Nothing else needs to happen. It's all a success. Like, there are legitimately people that feel that way. They will continue to recruit other players. But, like, we'll get to some of those players and some of what they're looking at and just some kind of big picture and housekeeping stuff later on this show. But I think it is worth at least kind of looking back a week ago at this time. This is right about the time we were both actually headed toward St. Louis. And people don't believe this, but we legitimately both got there at like 4:15 or so. And like, we weren't sure where the kid was going. I don't think we felt confident until probably right around 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think that was the point. I know we were already set up. We were ready to go. Obviously, he was a little bit late. I think it started like around 6:15, 6:20. But you know, you had to do you had to improv there on your live stream and just kind of keep the masses excited for the next 20 minutes while we announced. But
we had a lot of good chats about why I was wearing a mask inside and things like that. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. All the important stuff. But yeah. But we got. I mean, I got messages. I think you probably got the same messages that hey, it's Missouri, and that was like probably at least 5 minutes before 6 o'clock or somewhere in that range. We started getting a couple messages from some important people that said it was going to be Missouri. So, I mean, I guess, even though we didn't know, we were pretty confident, but a little bit more reassuring whenever we got those two messages. So
I would say I was north of 50%, but like nowhere near 100%.
Right. Yeah. So it was good. It makes for good live streaming whenever your site's called Power Mizzou. And you go to a 5 stars commitment and announcement, and he goes Mizzou to Missouri. So
yeah, the comments, had it been Georgia, might have been less favorable. The reviews of the show might have been less favorable.
Right, you might have got a few thumbs down, but hey, yes. I mean, look, it's all part of the business. We got, it was like I said, up in the air, 50-50, and hey, we're gonna go cover it regardless, and it worked out great in our favor. So
yes, that was. Good day for us. Good day certainly for Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz when they badly needed one. So we've had a lot of – let's just start here. We've had a lot of hypotheticals. If this class includes Burden, where's it rank? If it doesn't, where's it rank? So they are number 15 with Luther Burden in the fold. So I don't know. What are we looking at here? I think Mitchell said last week on one of our shows he thought this was the high water mark. Like, he doesn't think the class is going to be ranked at any point between now and signing day higher than it was the day Luther Burden committed. Agree or disagree?
I think considering who they're going after, just looking at ratings and things like that, I would probably agree with that. I mean, because you have to think maybe they add another 4-star or something like that. Is it going to move the needle that much? It may a little bit, but not probably towards the top, because you got to think all these other schools that are ahead of Missouri, they're going to keep adding dudes, and they're going to keep adding highly rated guys. So they're going to kind of climb. And even the schools that are a little bit below Missouri are going to keep adding guys. So. Yeah, I think probably 15 is the watermark because, I mean, you kind of break it down. We think they're going to go to sign 25, but we also think some of those guys are going to be JUCO guys. And, JUCO guys are normally not rated that high, so just because, rivals, we don't get out the JUCO, games that evaluate these kids. So, I think, because we talked about it last week or in previous weeks. Defensive line, they need some guys that can come in here and play right away. So those are going to be probably some JUCO guys. They might add another high schooler or two. But yeah, I mean, I think 15 is a good watermark. I probably agree with that.
And the interesting part will be the transfers, because the transfers aren't going to figure into the class. So it kind of depends how many they have. Right now they've got 15 kids and they're all high school kids, right? So for the ranking to reach kind of its ceiling, they need to have 5 more high school kids in this class. I think they will. And the other interesting thing is, so if you look at our team rankings, Missouri has 15 commitments. Teams number 16 through 25 all already have at least 17 kids. Kentucky's at 26 with 15. Ole Miss is at 29 with 15, and then you start to get into the 30s where there are teams that have 13 and 14 commitments. So you keep an eye on a team like Florida that's 34th. They only have 13 commits right now. They could, make a late push for some of these highly ranked guys and pass Missouri, but I'm comfortable saying it's going to be a top 20 class, and I actually think it has a chance to be a top 15 class.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you in the top 20 part. I think, like you said, you're going to sign. I mean, they're going to sign at least 5 more high schoolers for sure, depending on what they're ranked. I think they'll stay in that 15-20 range for sure.
All right, so let's get to and appreciate anybody that's watching live here. Again, we move the schedule around, we know, so we do this more for delayed purposes and for podcast purposes than we do for the live stream, but appreciate you guys who can join us here while we're doing it. Got a couple questions about particular guys, and then we're going to do a little bit more big picture stuff. But Colby asks, what are Missouri's chances for Samuel Mpemba? And he's a kid who is originally from St. Louis. He's at IMG now. You probably know more about this than I do. I've never really gotten the impression that there's much of any chance for Missouri, right?
It's not going to be Missouri for sure. And I know he's asking that because I think Mpemba just tweeted out he's going to commit sometime soon. Okay. So he just tweeted that out. So, yeah, I'm not expecting that to be Missouri. Notre Dame, I think he's visited there recently. I think he visited Florida recently. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I haven't really paid a whole lot of close attention to his recruiting process just because Missouri hasn't really been too involved there. I mean, he's mentioned Missouri previously that, that's a place he'd like to get back to, but I don't think that's ever materialized. And, obviously him tweeting out, hey, a commitment's coming soon. I'm going to probably go out and say, hey, it's going to be Notre Dame or Florida or one of those top schools. I think maybe he visited Ohio State too, but I'm not 100% sure there. But it's not going to be Missouri for sure.
Okay. Adam is asking any feelings on the running back that was committed to USC. His name is DeAnthony Gatson, I believe. And I had just posted last night, somebody in our network told me that he is planning to visit Missouri officially in December. He's a 4-star kid, was committed to USC. He's from somewhere in Texas. Look, I don't know if Missouri's going to get him or not, but Missouri is looking for another running back in this class. At this point, that is indisputable.
Yeah, I think Missouri was probably the first team to maybe, or at least the first one he tweeted that offered him after he decommitted from USC. So obviously there's some ties there. I think Curtis Looper is pretty familiar with Texas kids. So But yeah, Missouri got in on him. I mean, yeah, I've reached out to him. He's been relatively quiet since he decommitted from USC. Hasn't done a lot of stories, hasn't done a lot of interviews. So that bit of info from our Texas guys was probably the first bit of info we've got regarding him, just in terms of what his interest level is with Missouri. So it sounds good, but I'm kind of curious who else is involved, and we said, hey, maybe an official visit will materialize. It's still a long ways away, and we also just posted that story on Andrew Paul. He's the new running back target that they just offered last week. And, he's kind of the guy that's flown under the radar, hasn't really got any offers since the summer, but he's putting up some really good numbers down there in the Dallas area. And obviously Missouri is pretty impressed with him. He's said he's been talking to Curtis Looper for about a month now, and they extended an offer for him. So he's pretty excited, obviously, about an SEC opportunity. And he says he would definitely planning to come visit Missouri, like probably in December after his season's over. So that's another guy to keep an eye on. Obviously, I know, I guess between the two, everybody's all hyped up about Gasson because he's the higher rated kid. Right. But we'll kind of see where that goes. I mean, he's been pretty tight-lipped. I mean, I've tried to reach out to him and got nothing. So that one's going to be a hard one to read. Whereas Paul's a little bit more under the radar. He's excited about the Missouri offer, so he'll talk a little bit more. So, right. But we'll see how that goes moving forward. But obviously, like you said, I mean, and I think people are hyped up because you've already got Tavares Jones in the class, and he's a 4-star kid, and he's highly rated, and you got Gasson, who you could possibly add that's at least showing some interest and is thinking about coming for an official visit. You could add too. So to get 2 4-star kids, I mean, that would be, if you had a guy like Gasson, I mean, there you go. There's definitely maybe solidifying a top 15 class there if you add him to the fold. So
that's what I was going to say. He's one of those high school kids that can really kind of make a difference in that ultimate class ranking.
Right.
Who knows what it means in the end, but it's a nice shiny thing to put out there on signing day. This is my spam account. Wants to know if we have any updates on the DJ Westlake situation or any idea on the time frame. Look, right now, recruiting is on hold because the legal situation has to resolve itself. We are not judges. We are not juries. We are not lawyers. We don't know if it's going to, how quickly it's going to. With the current legal situation, nobody is going to accept a commitment from him with that as it is today. Now, again, it could blow over and go away. And if it does and coaches are, satisfied that that's resolved and they feel good about it, then there will be, I'm sure there will probably be some schools who say, nah, even though it was resolved, like, we just don't need that. But he will have an opportunity to play Division I football if this is resolved, and it is not a big deal. But that has to happen first. You're not taking a commitment from a kid with a potential felony charge hanging out there, and that has nothing to do with whether he is guilty or not. We have zero idea on that and do not want to imply that. Only that the charge is out there, and nobody's going to take him while that charge is out there. And that's that. There's really nothing more to know about it at this point. So
yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add there. It's perfectly said. I mean, there's too much in limbo there legally to even know where that's going to end up and where his recruiting process is going to go. That's got to get resolved first before we know anything.
Yeah, Kyle wants to know: do we know who the top quarterback target is for 2023? So they offered Sam Van Dyne from Liberty North. They offered J.J. Cole from Iowa, and they offered a third guy whose name is slipping my mind. Avery Johnson. I don't know how his name slipped my mind. They offered the point guard from the San Antonio Spurs.
Exactly.
And the former head coach. Last week. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there is a pecking order that they would like in the room. There's not much danger in offering all three now because the chances that one is going to call and say, yes, I want to commit today probably aren't high. I don't know for sure that they'd take any of those three today. I mean, maybe they would. They did offer, and one of them's an in-state kid, but I don't have any idea what the order of preference would be.
It's a great question because I actually have a story ready to go on this, on the quarterbacks. I did a little bit more digging. I've got some messages out. And obviously, I was waiting for you to do your Avery Johnson impersonation, but you failed and did not do that. And I was really wanting to see that.
I'm very, very poor at impressions.
The Avery Johnson voice impression would be awesome now. So
I need like sound effects. I need a better producer than me.
But anyway, speaking of Avery Johnson, he did actually message me back earlier today. I just kind of reached out to him. He's the guy that's visited Missouri during the summer, and he told me he's very interested in Missouri. He is looking to come up and visit for a game in November. So whichever home games those are in November, he's
I think there's only one more.
Yeah, I think there's only one more, right? Yeah, so it's so he's looking to do that. I know K-State's obviously hard after him. Notre Dame, I think he's been there a couple of times. I think they're pressing pretty hard. Kind of looked at some of the recent interviews he's done. He said he's kind of looking to make a decision in the spring. So, and you're going to see that with these 2023 quarterbacks. They're going to make decisions pretty early because they're going to jump in on a school and claim their spot and start recruiting other guys. And I looked at J.J. Cole, and obviously he's a guy that's I don't know if he visited during the summer, but he was at Missouri for the Texas A&M game. We got some quotes from him. Clint Cosgrove has, and the funny thing about J.J. Cole is his dad was a former kicker at Iowa State, and Cole's Kicking. He is the director of Cole's Kicking. Okay. So that's an interesting nugget there. So Iowa State. You have to think those two teams are probably in play for him just because he's from Iowa. His dad's an Iowa State grad. He's another kid that in a recent article said he would like to make a decision in the spring, so he's kind of looking to do it relatively soon, the wild card, Sam Van Dyne, who, I think he visited Missouri 3 times over the summer. He camped there. He took a couple unofficial visits. And then Missouri dropped an offer out to him. So he's one to maybe keep an eye on. I don't know if they would accept a commitment from him right now, but they obviously threw an offer out there. So they must really like his film so far. He's had a really good junior season so far. And I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. I mean, I would probably say keep an eye on him more than the other two just because, a lot of people want Avery Johnson. J.J. Cole's got ties to Iowa and Iowa State, obviously. So but yeah, I mean, those are the 3 offers, and then the only other offer they got the quarterbacks in 2023 is the Raheem Jarrett kid from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Yeah. And that was a year ago, so I don't know what the interest level is there with him, or if he even talks to Missouri anymore. So yeah, I mean, those 3 are ones to pay attention to, but I don't see any commitments happening right off the bat. If it was, it'd be Sam Van Dyne. I don't know if they would accept one from him right now, though.
Back to Avery Johnson. Any updates on Jason Kidd or Steve Nash's recruitment?
Well, who's Jason Kidd the head coach for now? I can't remember. The Mavericks, I think. Yeah. So and Steve Nash is coaching the Nets. So
it looks unlikely on both those guys.
I had a lot of Jason Kidd rookie cards, and I had a lot of Steve Nash rookie cards growing up. So definitely, yeah.
But on the quarterback situation, though, I think it's important to say this. Like at one point, we weren't positive they would take a 23 quarterback. They're going to take one, and they're going to take one every year. And here's why. I think it's pretty likely that a Missouri quarterback enters the transfer portal this year. And then I think it's pretty likely another Missouri quarterback enters the transfer portal next year because they've got Connor Bazelak, who technically still has 2 years left. They've got Brady Cook, who's a redshirt freshman, Tyler Macon, who's a true freshman, and Sam Horn, who is going to be a true freshman. So that's 3 guys within a year of each other eligibility-wise. 2 of them are not going to ever start a football game at Missouri. I mean, that's just like it's simple math. It's saying nothing about the kids. 2 of those 3 are never going to start, which tells me 2 of those 3 are probably not going to finish their careers here. So you better have a 2023 guy who comes in and is ready to at least be a backup to start. And then, hey, if he ends up transferring out too, deal with it later. But that's kind of what you got to do in recruiting. Mr. Wonderful wants to know, what I assume that should be type of player would you want to transfer to Mizzou or would want to transfer to Mizzou? I would assume one that plays football and wants to play. Maybe one that wants to play in the SEC.
One, and obviously, Mr. Wonderful, I hope it's in reference to Paul Orndorff, the wrestler, but we'll see about that. See if he replies. But anyway, yeah, preferably transfers that can play right away and at least be in your rotation. Especially on the defensive line.
Yeah, exactly. Adam wants to know, for offensive and defensive line, is the thinking currently that they'll hit the portal and the JUCO ranks hard? And this kind of ties into Colby is asking about Deion Walker. I mean, I think they'd love Deion Walker. I don't know that they have to have a JUCO or a transfer offensive lineman. They might take one, but I don't think they have to have one. They've got, I mean, Eli Drinkwitz talked today. It's not out of the question that Case Cook comes back next year. Javon Foster's going to be back. Xavier Delgado's back. They got some backups, EJ and Doma Ogar, Connor Wood, Connor Tollison. They've signed 3 or 4 guys. The issue is that we get way too hung up on, well, where are the guys that can help us next year? Those guys better already be on your roster. If you are recruiting now for guys who can help you next September, you largely aren't going to be very good, especially in Missouri's situation and especially on the offensive and defensive line, where guys you recruit, for the most part, hey, they're going to need a minute before they can contribute. Next year's help mostly needs to be what you have. The recruiting now is mostly for 2023 and beyond.
Right, I agree with that. I mean, I think if you're going back to the original question, if they're going to grab some JUCOs, I can see that happening on the defensive line, whether they grab 1 or 2.
Maybe secondary, I wonder. But yeah.
Yeah.
Or linebacker.
Secondary,
let's just say defense.
Did offer,
defense.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Secondary, they did offer the Moses Alexander kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously they're looking for some help secondary-wise, JUCO-wise there, so they just extended an offer to that kid. So, yeah, I would think, like you said, just looking at who they've been offering on the offensive line, defensive line, they're probably going to stick to high school kids on that front for the most part. So
yeah, and Tom is asking about specific to Deion Walker. I mean, we put in the chamber last week. We're kind of hearing it's a Mizzou, Kentucky might be the biggest deal. We had initially thought Michigan State, but I think some wires got crossed. They dropped one of his either good friends or high school teammates at Michigan. Not sure quite what's going on at Michigan State, but Missouri, Kentucky seem to kind of be in good position.
Yeah, I think that's going to kind of come down to what position does he want to play, I guess, because Missouri likes him at offensive line. I'm not really sure what Kentucky likes him at, whether it's D-line or O-line, but I know what people had kind of talked about. Well, why don't you play D-line? But, I mean, he's 6'7", and he's you can't really play.
Why don't he play power forward?
Yeah, defensive tackle, 6'7" defensive tackles usually don't work in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, they like him at offensive line. But he just took an official visit to Missouri, so obviously there's a lot of interest there. Mm-hmm. And look, like you said, if the things we're hearing are true and, there is some maybe disregard from Michigan, maybe dropping his teammate, I mean, that's even better. Right. If those 2 Michigan teams are out of it and there's a little bit of angst there, I mean, that's even better for Missouri.
And Tom is asking about Dominique Orange. I mean, look, everything we're hearing is I'm not sure where this kid's going to end up, man. I'm not sure it's a Power 5 based on I know he's a 4-star kid, and so people kind of see that, and he's huge, but everything we're hearing is that the senior season hasn't been great, and a lot of those offers that look like offers, like I'm not positive Missouri's there. I'm not sure Iowa State's there anymore. I'm not sure those options exist right now.
Yeah, I agree. Not getting a whole lot of buzz from that, and just considering his senior season, how that's going. I think Mitchell's been to a couple of his games. He said, looks okay, but is Kansas still a Power 5 option for him?
Power.
That was
like
a jab at Kansas.
Power 3.5, maybe, something like that. Although, hey, they look good last weekend.
They might be going to Conference USA. Who knows?
Right, exactly. Them in Missouri State. So,
but there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of mystery surrounding him and just his recruiting process right now. And I'm like you, Gabe. I don't think he has a lot of options, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I think if he does end up, I don't know where Missouri stands with him, but I think if he ends up anywhere, it might be Kansas, to be honest with you.
And look, that could change between now and signing day, right? Weird things happen. Kids don't qualify. Kids get hurt. Kids decommit, and coaches start to panic. And some of those options that aren't there now might be there in 4 weeks. So we'll wait and see. I want to get to, because I appreciate the questions, I'll get to one quick non-recruiting question we have here. I'll just take it and get it done with, and then we'll move on. Eric wants to know, other than firing Steve Wilkes, what are the hurdles to hiring Will Muschamp as defensive coordinator? Will Muschamp would have to want to come as defensive coordinator. It is not as simple as just saying, we pick you and you're our defensive coordinator. He would have to agree to that. I would imagine that Will Muschamp will have some other options after this season. I don't believe that. First of all, I'm not sure Missouri's going to be looking for a defensive coordinator. And if they are, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be the only ones. So the other hurdle, besides Missouri wanting to hire Will Muschamp, would be Will Muschamp wanting to be hired by Missouri. But other than that, ready to go, man. Line it up. Here we are.
Gabe, if I had any, I don't have cash on me, but if I had like any kind of cash, I'd just whip it out and be like, hey, it's all about the money.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay a little bit. Sure, no question about it. So I kind of wanted to, when we started this, I wanted to talk about the big picture stuff a little bit, and I just kind of want to do a little primer for fans, because this is, I tried to update the scholarship chart a couple nights ago, and it's really hard, man. Like, I don't really know what class anybody is in right now, right? Like, Tyler Beatty could come back next year. No, he's not coming back. We're almost certain he's not coming back. But a guy like Sean Ketting, he's on scholarship. He's Missouri's kickoff specialist. If he comes back, that ties up a scholarship. So right now, we've got Missouri with 78 scholarship guys that are eligible to come back next year. Now, those guys are not all going to come back, obviously. So, I don't know, take away, I think it's actually down to 77 since Jamie Petway transferred. But let's say 8 of them leave. I don't know. So now you're at 69. Well, they've got 15 scholarship guys, so there you're at 84. There's not a ton of room. Eli Drinkwitz was kind of asked about this today and said, hey, figuring it out is everybody's biggest challenge right now. How many spots are you going to have and all that? But so some other guys are going to leave, but just general rules, here's how it works. You can sign up to 25 players starting December, I don't know what day the signing period is this year, but around December 18th, something like that. You can sign up to 25 guys, whether those are high school guys, JUCO guys, transfer guys, does not matter. You can sign up to 25 guys. And then anytime after December 18th, there are up to 7 spots available. If someone transfers out of your program, you can replace that transfer with another signee. Again, whether it's a high school guy, transfer, whatever, doesn't matter. But you cannot sign more than 25 on the first day of the signing period. And then however many transfer out, you can replace up to 7 of them. But Mitchell Forty, who's done a little bit more with the numbers than I have, indicated that in order to get to a class of 32 guys, Missouri would need probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 transfers after this season. I don't think 20 guys are going to transfer. I think a fair number are going to transfer, but I don't think it's going to be 20.
Yeah, I don't really know what you want me to add to that.
It's really hard, and I know you cover a couple different schools in recruiting. This has got to be a nightmare for these coaches. I'm just trying to figure it out for a story that literally says unofficial in the title. These guys actually have to know you're dealing with not only the 25 annually, but the 85 overall and the super seniors, and you don't know if a guy's a true sophomore or a redshirt freshman or a true junior. It's a nightmare, man.
Yeah, the COVID years really kind of threw everything off, and you get an extra year. So I can only imagine that there's certain people on staff, it looks like a scene from The Hangover before they go down to the casino and take it for all its money. They're sitting there and all these equations are going through the guy's head and everything like that. So, that's kind of how I feel when I'm trying to figure this out. And I just kind of throw my hands up and just be like, hey,
we'll deal with it when it happens.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Maybe I'll ask somebody what the exact numbers are, but I might not get a straight answer, So
because truthfully, I don't think they know. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're 5 weeks away from the end of the season, so they don't know who all's coming back. Take a guy like Jatorian Hansford at Missouri, right? This theoretically is his last year. He has played some this year, not a lot. Well, Chris Turner's out for the season, so Jatorian Hansford's going to play more. So what if he plays pretty well for 5 weeks and says, I like the coaches, I like the guys, I'm not going to be an NFL draft pick this year. But maybe these 5 weeks make me think if I play well next year, I can be. So now I want to come back. And then Missouri's got to decide if they want him back. It's just, I don't know. I hate to keep harping on, we saw this coming literally the day the NCAA made this idiotic ruling, but It's really messed everything up.
Here's the thing that I just kind of think of scenarios in my head. Whenever you do go through the December signing period and maybe you don't sign a full 25, because you're kind of waiting to see what the numbers do, and then between that time and the second signing period in February, you got 15 kids that transfer. What do you do then? How do you replace them? So those are just kind of scenarios that kind of run through my head and just be like, well, how do teams prepare for that? Because you might get blindsided by that amount of transfers that you don't know about. So it's a lot to take in, a lot to digest. I'm glad I'm not on the staff and have to figure that out.
Right,
so.
And it's going to be kind of a two-sided thing here in that, yes, there are going to be some kids who are encouraged to look elsewhere, but this is not a one-year fix for Missouri. I mean, you want to go back 2 or 3 years to the scholarship restrictions they had because of the ridiculous NCAA sanctions. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz ain't getting back to a full 85 of 85 guys that he thinks are ready to go in year one. It's going to be at least one more full recruiting cycle and maybe even 2 before he gets to that point. So,
right.
I don't know. A lot of questions today. Appreciate that. I feel like we covered everything. I don't know, Sean, did we not cover anything? Is there anything, any other late 90s point guards you want to discuss or anything?
No, I'm good, man. Sorry about the late 90s point guard.
I named all 3 I know, so yeah.
Well, hey, man, I remember Steve Nash, Santa Clara
yes.
in the NCAA tournament, man. So that was a good run for them.
15-seed Santa Clara over 2-seed Arizona. I remember that as well.
Right.
So, all right. So I got to run over to practice. I know you got stuff going on, but appreciate it, Sean. We'll catch up, man.
All right, man. See you, Gabe.
All right, that is Sean Williams helping us out here every week on the Tuesday recruiting show, kind of filling you guys in or trying to fill you in on what's going on, and do appreciate all the questions and everybody that joined us here live. Hopefully we got some of those answered for you guys. As I said, I'm going over to Mizzou football practice here in about 20 minutes, so I'm going to go check that out, just see who's there and not there and all that. We'll have some information for you. Got some interviews later tonight. Mitchell will join me tomorrow for the 573 report, and, hey, we're back. Bye week's over. 5 more weeks in the season, so we're here every day with you guys during the week and every Saturday. So you'll see a lot of us for the next 30 days or so. So look forward to it. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit the like button here. If you're listening on the podcast, leave a 5-star review. And no matter where you're listening, if you're interested in looking at a new home, refinance, anything to do with your mortgage, Brandon Barnes is the guy you got to hit up. bbarnes at usa-mortgage.com. You can go to showmemortgage.com on the internet to kind of ask your questions, just get a little consultation, maybe a quote. You can email him. You can call him there at 573-818-2772 or 573-390-0001. Anywhere from Watson, Missouri to Sikeston, Missouri. Hit Brandon Barnes up, and see, I just show off my Missouri geography knowledge on this show, really. That's why I like to read Brandon's ads, because I just pull out random towns. That is northwest to southeast, if you are wondering. Watson, Missouri is the last exit before Iowa. Sikeston way down to the boot heel, so anywhere in between there. Hit up Brandon Barnes. If you're building a new house, if you're buying a new house, if you're refinancing the one you have, if you maybe just want to figure out a way to get some money for a home improvement and you want to refinance and see what you can do there. Brandon can take care of all that stuff for you. Great customer service, competitive rates, even talk a little Mizzou football recruiting with you. So hit up Brandon, give him the first shot at your business, and keep coming back. Leave us good reviews, guys. Good to talk to you. We'll see you later on.